Hey everybody, it's Crystal from Madison Records, and we have the opportunity to interview our artist, Hope VanDouser, this morning. And we just wanted to talk about her new single that she has out. It's a cover, Oh Holy Night, and it's just been such a joy to be a part of the process and be able to share this with the world. And so we just wanted to say hi to all of Hope's fans and all of the folks at Visible Music College and Madison Records roster. And we're just excited to talk about the Christmas season. And so for Hope, we get to work on artist development stuff on a weekly basis. And so we do really enjoy that part of the Madison Line process, weekly connecting time. And so I wanted to take that weekly time this week and kind of pick Hope's brain about making music and getting in the studio and the things that she enjoys, the things that are a challenge. And so Hope, hi, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Awesome. I am on the other end of a cold, so bear with me with my stuffy nose. Tell us what it's like as an artist to get like in the right headspace to get into the studio, and how do you prepare for that? How would you encourage new up and coming artists, younger artists, student artists to kind of mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually prepare for the studio?
So for me, when I was first recording, I was under the impression that you're supposed to go in recording day and wing it and be spontaneous, and whatever comes out is special and was meant to be. But you'd be really surprised how intentional and rehearsed artists are when they go into studio day. I wouldn't encourage you to go in and wing it. Go in with like a hardcore plan, and special things can happen on top of preparation. But I was one of those people, just, unaware, but thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do here. Like, I feel like something special could happen here. But if you like practice it at home and like really figure out, like for me, I like to do ad libs, in songs, practice those at the house, and they'll be more magic. They're actually better when you've done them over and over and over. And what's really cool about Oh Holy Night was I had already done it on tour for the Christmas tour last year. So I had sang that song over and over and over, and I kind of already knew how my voice was supposed to feel in certain places, because that's a really hard song to sing. And so I knew where to lift and how to breathe. And that was a huge advantage for me going into the studio and cutting the final vocals for this song, because I had sang it so much. So I think like a top thing for me to prepare for the studio is to really practice what you want to do, depending on what you're doing.
So it's so important and it's so huge. I have heard that so many times about even being an educated musician. Like, oh, I don't want to go to school for music. It's just gonna like hinder my creativity.
Yeah.
Over the years, I have just really seen the opposite. It's like the more practiced, the more educated, the more trained you are, the more freedom to be more creative comes, because you understand how music theory works and you understand how vocal training and vocal health impacts your performance. And so I love that. I love that that's something that you learn. Is there maybe instead of like a memory of the studio, is there a memory from tour? And I know that was last year's tour, but is there a memory from tour that you're like, oh my goodness, that was such a great time or a great memory? Is there anything that pops into your mind about that?
It's funny because we hear the same Christmas music over and over and over, and sometimes it just becomes like the background noise to our Christmas traditions.
That's right.
But it's so special to do it live. And I did not realize how powerful and anointed Oh Holy Night is until I sang it live. And like, I had never experienced people literally standing up and worshiping with that song. Fall on your knees, oh here. I was just like, everybody just erupted with like, praise and worship. And I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that. But that was so cool to experience. Like I really felt connected to the Lord singing this song. Honestly, it was super special.
Oh my gosh, I know. I'm like almost like in tears. It's like thinking about that moment because I do even remember like our show in Memphis. Like I felt that like as somebody who's really just wanted to partner with you and help see you kind of like go through the process and become what it is that God has really created you to be. And so it's such an honor to sit in that front row seat in that way. And it's true about live music. And I think that we all experienced that, like with COVID and nothing in person, and then coming back into the in-person environment, and just how much as created beings that God created us to be together, and the power of community and the power of music and the Holy Spirit like being in a room. And it's very beautiful and intense and emotional. And I love that. I absolutely could not agree more with that experience. And I think that's one of the things that makes some of these classics, like we were saying, like you just hear it in the background all the time. Oh, I've heard that song a million times. They're timeless because of how they're written. Like truly, it is a timeless truth, and the gospel is shared in all of that. And so it's just such a beautiful time of year to even be able to share about our faith during a global holiday. Something that I'm always wondering how you manage, because you're a mom, you're a wife, you're an artist, you're done with school now, so that's a huge check off your list. Whew. But you're also a pastor's wife, and you're a worship pastor. And so when you're going into the holiday season, we all know the classic, almost cliche things about, being a pastor and pastor's wife preparing for the Christmas holiday. What does that look like for you? Just all your responsibilities, and how do you manage and all of that? Tell us what that looks like.
So for me, I get into the Christmas spirit every other year. It takes me 2 years to like really appreciate it again.
Yeah.
So like funny fact, this is the year I'm not in the Christmas spirit. Like I'll be in the Christmas spirit next year because there's just so much. Oh my gosh. I remember when I first got married to my husband, he was the executive pastor, and we had 12 Christmas parties that season. 12.
A lot.
It was like the staff Christmas party, the board Christmas party, the children's ministry Christmas party. I mean, it was just, then you had Wednesday night potluck where everybody, I mean, it was just crazy. So we've kind of learned how to condense those in like maybe 5 Christmas parties instead of 12. But we started a new tradition this year. Me and my husband and our kids, we're going to start it this year, and it's called a Christmas staycation, where for like 7 days we stay home or we go see Christmas lights, or like we're very intentional for 7 days to really spend time with each other and not do outside ministry, to just kind of enjoy it as a family and let the boys know that they come first, our 2 children, Kylan and Israel. So that's just something we've learned to do because the holidays get a little hectic for us as pastors. And
your kiddos are young right now. You don't have grown kids, right? So these are those golden years where you're really like pouring into memories. And of course, like I feel like as Christian parents, I have kids, I have twin daughters, and they're 12 this year. Something I've really enjoyed watching the last just like year or two is that we have kind of intentionally instilled a bit of nostalgia in them as they've grown up. And it's been very like, let's do these traditions. And they have this thing that they look forward to every year. And it's not just, hey, we go, to the candy cane festival or whatever. It's like, this is the reason for this time of year. That's the number one focus. And this is a time for family. And I love, and Ken, who's the founder and CEO of the label, him and I have talked for years about the beauty of rhythms, like seasonal rhythms in our lives. And I love that. So I can't encourage you more to obviously keep doing that. I want to hear how that goes. 7 weeks of just downtime. Do you guys have a show that you prepare for, or not even a show, but like a Christmas service that you feel like a lot of responsibility for as the worship pastor, or
Yeah,
how does that work in your set list setup?
yeah, so we every year, Christmas falls on Sunday this year, but normally on Christmas Eve night we hold communion, and we have a candlelight communion, and we sing Christmas hymns together, and Timothy will do the Christmas story with Jesus's birth. And it's just like an hour of us coming together, and we do the Lord's Supper together. It's really special. And this year as a church, we're going to do it Christmas morning. So it's just going to be really sweet. It's something we do every year.
Gosh, that's great. Now, okay, we have to unpack this because it is the thing that we all see on social media every single year. Every worship pastor, director, leader, the church always comes up to them and says, I want to make sure that you sing my favorite Christmas song at church on Sunday. How do you go about planning that? Because I know a lot of my friends that are in those roles are just like, okay, I cannot sing Mary Did You Know again this next year. So how do you prepare for that? Do you kind of lean towards like, okay, I have a couple standards, and then this song's really been ministering to our church, so we include it? Is it all Christmas songs? Do you do carols? How do you plan for that?
So I'm a little bit of a Grinch when it comes to that stuff. I've already had quite a few requests and questions of like, hey, where's the Christmas music? As a worship pastor, and maybe this will change throughout the years as I get older, I don't incorporate Christmas music in our worship set list moments. It is still very much just, I mean, it might allude to Jesus's birth, whatever, but I don't do like Christmas standards in our worship set list. However, I will put together a Christmas special during the offertory. Like when we're taking up the offering, we'll have a moment where we dim the lights and someone comes out, and I'll scratch everybody's itch for Christmas.
Yes.
So that is it.
Tell me about that. Unpack that a little bit. Like, where did that come from for you, where you're like, no, this is how we're going to do Christmas? Like, what?
So the reason why I came to that decision for me is because, I've been a part of worship teams since I was like 12 years old. So I'm used to seeing Christmas music incorporated in the worship set. And what I just noticed is when we do like Joy to the World or Oh Come Let Us Adore Him, it goes from participation to enjoyment, and I'm just going to sit back and watch and enjoy this. And that for me is not what our worship moments are for. It's not for entertainment or, oh, I love the way you sing Oh Holy Night for that song. It's like, no, I'm going to scratch the Christmas music altogether because I want us to still come ready to experience the Lord, and that we're engaged and we're pouring out as He's pouring in. And that can be kind of hard to do with Christmas music. And anytime I've talked to younger people, they're just like, Christmas music is so cheesy in the worship set.
Well, it is because it's more of a performance.
It is. And sorry to anybody who disagrees. I mean, if it works for you, praise God. If people are getting, slain to Joy to the World, that's awesome. But that does not happen for me.
Well, and that's kind of maybe like a good question that we can wrap up with this morning, even though I want to just like sit here and chit chat with you all day about all your thoughts about music and being in the role that you're in, because the label just adores you, and we've just really enjoyed working with you and watching you kind of blossom and develop. And we have one more single with you in the holster for the beginning of the first year, the beginning of the year. So we're excited about that. But for you, like as a as a worship leader and an artist, and I know that you went through Visible Music College as a student, like really being poured into on these topics. So like, where have you landed, I guess, and maybe just for this season, because you're just kind of really starting in on that journey. But where and how do you compartmentalize, I'm an artist in a category and I am a worship pastor in another category? Like, how do you navigate those waters, and where do you kind of draw lines or create boundaries for yourself where you feel like this is what I feel called to do, this is healthy for me, I can stand on these truths and be really confident in them regardless of what culture says, the industry says, the world says? Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll just wrap up and say bye to everybody.
Yeah, it can be difficult for me just because I know that my purpose and calling is a worship leader, a worship facilitator, and not just to bring creative music. It's not really like a creative outlet for me. Like, releasing music is ministry to me. And so I don't know if I kind of separate the two. I feel like I've always looked at them as the same for me. Of course, there's things that do separate them, such as like business, the business side of things, and having to raise money, having to market yourself on social media. Like, that can be a little uncomfortable for me at times, just because it feels like you're having to self-promote, but the music is about the Lord. So
that's right.
Very tricky, very tricky.
Oh, yeah.
But I think for me, like, a lot of it is intertwined for me. Like, I want the moments that I'm leading on, a Sunday morning to be just as impactful as the moments that someone's listening to the song that I wrote on a Tuesday night. Like, I for me look at it in the same vein, separate.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love that. And I think that's one of the main reasons that we really wanted to work with you, because when we were in the room while you were leading worship, and while we've worked with you, and while we've helped promote you, like, that has been consistent the whole entire time. And so we just couldn't love you more. And we're excited about the cover that you have out. And Oh Holy Night, I think, is, gosh, I mean, it tells the story of Jesus's birth, which is the greatest gift, right? And as believers, we get to just kind of naturally talk about that truth during this time of year, and really the light and the hope behind that story. It's like all of the sin and all of the yuck and all of the crazy that we're watching right now, like, the battle's already won.
Right.
And it's like, how would you live if you knew that, like, this is already taken care of?
That's right.
This is already done. And so for those who might be listening today randomly, if you don't know Jesus and you feel crazy scared to be alive in this time right now, there's hope in him. There is, and he is the answer. And the reason why Christians celebrate this holiday so passionately is because of that truth. It's not because of Santa Claus and gifts and trees and all those, things. It's because we know that Jesus came, and he came to die for our sins and to lead us to an everlasting life when this is all over. And so go to church, y'all, get to know Jesus, find him, get in touch with the community. I almost want to say, like, even if you don't believe in Jesus, it doesn't mean he's not real. And he's there, and he has created you, and he wants to know you. And so with things like Oh Holy Night, oh my goodness, fall on your knees, right? Hear the angels rejoice. It's such an intense, beautiful, wonderful classic. And so you guys, Hope has covered this, and her vocals are amazing on it. We love Hope. We love her heart. We love her intimacy. You guys check it out. It's on Spotify, Oh Holy Night. And we'll put the link in this post. Hope, thank you so much for hanging out today and just letting us know your process and how you are as a person and who you are as a person. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye.